But first, of course, Daniel Andrews. He gets away with it. He gets away with it. Today, Victoria's Premier quit after 9 years in the job and 3 election wins, and quit on his own terms, despite being, by almost every measure, one of the most disastrous political leaders in our lifetime.
When it's time, it's time. Recently, in talking to my kids and Kath, thoughts of what life will be like after this job have started to creep in. And I've always known that the moment that happens, it's time to go and to give this privilege, this amazing responsibility to someone else. You never want to get to a place where you resent this job.
Yeah, well, Liberals were telling me, we're popping champagne corks and all this kind of stuff, but they've got to know this. They never beat him. They never beat him. He's now going to leave as a winner, or so he thinks, and his critics can get stuffed, basically. In his own eyes, he's the man who stared them all down, a misunderstood man, always doing the right thing, making the tough calls in tough times, like during the pandemic.
Perhaps you've not ever really understood this about me. I've never complained about the fact that we had to deal with fire and flood and a 1 in 100 year pandemic. That's the job. The job is dealing with all comers and all issues. And it's not an easy job. If it was easy, it would be nowhere near as important as it is. So I've never once complained about what we've had to deal with. That's just life. That's where we're at. But I only know one way to deliver against those challenges, and that's to do the right thing, not to try and be pandering, listening to the loudest voices, trying to be popular. That's not worth much. It doesn't last, and it's not what's needed.
Not trying to be popular. What a saint. Well, in fact, there's the joke right there. This is a man who polled public opinion right through the pandemic and switched from hard lockdowns to she'll be right as soon as the public mood changed from terrified, thanks to Daniel Andrews, from terrified to she'll be right. Now, this is a man who last year, certainly the first half, actually spent more on advertising than any other state and any business in the country. And it's that ferocious eye for public opinion that's helped him today to quit, with his party way ahead of the hapless, hopeless Liberals. So that's got to be success, right? He's a winner. Except, of course, history will not be so kind to him. And as a former senior Labor colleague of Andrews told me this afternoon, now that it's gone, he loses control of how that history will be written. Tongues in the government that he ruled with an iron fist, they're forcing out his rivals, they'll be loosened. And the fact is that this socialist left Premier has a big problem. He is leaving a disastrous legacy. As I tipped on election night last year, he'll be gone before the next one because the reckoning will soon come, and it's coming now. By every key measure, Daniel Andrews, in fact, rates as one of the very worst premiers, judged by what is done for his state and not by what is won for Labor. You take the state's debt, it's massive. It's bigger than New South Wales and Queensland's combined, with ratings agency Moody's warning that the way it's going to double, quick smart. Or you take the electricity system. This global warming extremist, the Premier, has left Victoria short of electricity than any other state, with the energy market operator warning of blackouts perhaps even this summer. His big projects, so many of them have blown their budget. The Metro Tunnel, for instance, by nearly $3 billion. His promised suburban rail loop, estimated now to cost not the $50 billion that Andrews first claimed, but $125 billion. And that, by the way, is a suburban link linking suburbs you don't want to go to other suburbs you don't want to go. It's a white elephant. But details like money never bothered this man. This is the Premier who started his authoritarian regime, his reign, by tearing up a key road project, Eastlink, which the Liberal government had ordered, flushing, for purely political reasons, $1 billion of taxpayers' money down the toilet. $1 billion paid in compensation for absolutely nothing. And it's ended, believe it or not, his 9 years with the same stupid trick. cancelling a Commonwealth Games he could never have afforded, forcing him to pay $380 million in compensation, again for nothing. But what a performer he was even then, announcing this news, this compensation, as if it actually saved money.
I can confirm a final settlement, $380 million, not a dollar more, no court action. The matter is closed out and finalised.
And in between, during the COVID-19 pandemic, which I think is going to define his rule, Andrews imposed the harshest and longest lockdowns of any state, again and again, like some sort of obsessive madman convinced that he could finally eradicate even this virus, no matter the cost to the men and women and especially the children of Victoria, the people he was locking down so often for so little. I mean, it was another case of, look at me, I'm making the tough call.
So you will no longer be able to remove your mask to drink a cocktail at a pop-up beer garden on a footpath as part of a pub crawl. Playgrounds, basketball courts, skate parks and exercise equipment closed. Won't be able to go to the pub because the pub is shut. Doesn't mean you can get on the beers selfishly. People will die. Locked in. I don't care what you call it, just do it. Want to come home for the best of reasons? No, you can't.
But even then, Andrews again proved he was the most incompetent leader of any state, despite that air of utter conviction, you know, that conviction that some people confuse with leadership, even as they're being led over a cliff or into a final bunker. Because more facts, under Daniel Andrews, Victoria in the pandemic not only had the worst and longest lockdowns, devastating businesses, ruining lives, it still had the most breakouts from his ramshackle quarantine hotels and, most crucially, the most deaths of any state. And, you know, if you think I'm being a bit mean, I'm raining on this poor guy's parade, his one-man parade, being cruel to a man who's leaving after giving everything to serving his state, and I do not doubt his work ethic for a second. He said himself today he doesn't actually care what critics think, which I should add includes critics like the state's corruption watchdog and the Ombudsman, who accused Labor under Daniel Andrews of stealing nearly $400,000 of taxpayers' money to pay Labor campaigners.
For all the kind of negative stuff that you get from time to time, and it's not the best feature of modern politics, some of the stuff that's said and written, but it's there and it doesn't bother me. It's never ever fazed me. I have a very, very thick skin, and you need that to do this job. But again, that's the thing. It's not about me. The role is too important for that. The work is too important for that. People can say whatever they want about me, good and bad. It's always been about the work, and there's a body of work there, and I'm very proud of that.
But there you go. Andrews is going out a winner, under his definition of winner, if not mine. He's going out to work, I don't know, he wouldn't say, he hasn't made up his mind, I guess. He's going to work, I suspect, for some business, maybe some business related to China, the country he assiduously courted, signing up to its notorious Belt and Road Initiative, alone of any government in this country. And it's now up to some other Premier to figure out how to pay off the debts that he left behind, how to finish the mad projects he dreamed up, how to fix the electricity system he's helped to ruin. Let some other Premier end the culture of secrecy too in this state, and the arrogant use of power as well. Andrews is off. He's the winner, leaving the clean-up to generations of Victorians who will pay and pay and pay.